guys, welcome back to the channel where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime, news, and more. This little guy is Hayden Manis, and he has been missing since at least early 2000. Yeah, you heard me right. 2000. And his family last saw him Christmas of 2019. This one, as soon as I read about this little guy, my first thoughts were, is this another Harmony Montgomery situation? And it sort of has some parallels. But let me go through a bit of the information I have. I'm going to play the piece from WTHR. They have been the main news channel covering this case. Law enforcement just heard about his that he was missing last September. So again, the ball has been dropped somewhere along the line.
A little boy, nowhere to be found.
And there's been no sign of him.
Allegations of horrible abuse.
I just hope it isn't true, what he went through.
And now, a desperate search for answers in a case that's baffling investigators.
Where's Hayden Manis?
That's the question that we ask ourselves every day.
Tonight, 13 investigates a missing child. Here's what makes this case so unusual. This little boy has been missing not just a few days or weeks or even months. That boy's been missing for years. And it's only now that his disappearance is coming to light. Our senior investigative reporter Bob Siegel joins us tonight to break down this disturbing story that raises so many questions.
I will say this before they start speaking to the family. This family does seem to be very, very loving and caring about Hayden. I have zero doubt in my mind. I do wonder why they waited until last year to do a welfare check to find out if Hayden was okay and what was going on with him. That is a question that really has been haunting my mind.
It sure does. The biggest question, what happened to Hayden? Hayden Manis has not been seen in more than 5 years, and both his family and police now fear the worst.
I love you, Cookie.
Cell phone videos and pictures. These are what Hayden's family now clings to after realizing this little boy is nowhere to be found.
I miss him dearly.
Hayden's grandfather and 3 of his aunts met with 13 investigators to share their grief.
Oh, God.
To ask the public for help.
Just give us some answers.
And to try to make sense of how a 4.5-year-old just disappeared. When's the last time you saw Hayden?
Christmas Eve, 2019, at our family gathering.
He was getting presents. He was excited. That was the last time.
When Hayden left his great-grandmother's house that Christmas Eve in 2019, he was with his father, Dustin, who has a criminal history involving drugs and alcohol. In fact, Hayden's father and mother both lost custody of their 1-year-old son after they tested positive for cocaine. Police also found Hayden and his father in a motel room littered with heroin. That's when Hayden went to live with his grandfather, Gary.
He's a good kid. I never had any trouble out of him the whole time I had him.
But 1.5 years later, after Hayden's father served his sentence and completed treatment and counseling, a judge ordered Hayden be returned to his father.
I begged them not to give him back. It wasn't my choice. They wouldn't even let me speak in court.
Yeah. So we've heard this sort of story before, haven't we? About families trying to convince a judge, to convince family court to not award custody of a child to a biological parent. Sadly, a lot of times we're starting to see they just don't listen. And it is costing these sweet babies their lives. Look at that little face. 4.5 years old. And no one knows where he is, what happened to Hayden Manis.
At that point, Hayden was about to turn 3. His father took him to visit his aunts and uncles and cousins every once in a while, but those visits started getting further apart. After the Christmas get-together in 2019, the visit stopped completely, even though Hayden's relatives kept trying, texting Dustin to invite him and Hayden to family gatherings.
At least every month I would message him, can you come and do this?
Can you and Hayden come have dinner with us? And he would respond with, we'll try. Everything's fine. We're okay. Hayden's fine. We'll try to make it. But we never did get to see him. He never came.
And that's how things were for years, until this past September, when some of Dustin's family members discussed not seeing Hayden in a long time and started getting suspicious. They asked police to check on Hayden. Police found Dustin, but not his son. And the story Dustin told police did not add up. That was 5 months ago. And today, Hayden is still missing.
Where's Hayden? Nobody can come up with Hayden. The last person that was responsible for him couldn't provide any information about where he was. And that's when we realized, I think,
Something terrible had happened.
Yeah. That is unfortunately the way the family and investigators are going in that direction, that he's no longer here on this earth. There's always that hope, but considering family hasn't seen him since Christmas 2019, he was spotted in early 2020 apparently by someone else, witnesses that investigators spoke with. But in 2021, there was texting going back and forth, 2020, 2021 as we saw. And then in 2024, September of 2024, when the family sent law enforcement to do that check on Hayden, Dustin, Dad was there, but not Hayden. When they asked him where his son was, he said Child and Family Services came and took him, which was anything but the truth.
Yeah.
Where's Hayden Manis?
That's the question we ask ourselves every day.
Eric Hoffman is the prosecutor in Delaware County, where sheriff's investigators have been trying to locate Hayden for 5 months. They started by interviewing Dustin, who claimed DCS showed up one day, several years ago, and took Hayden away to go live with his mother.
Did Hayden go back into the custody of the Department of Child Services?
No. No, that was disproven quite easily, quite quickly.
Did Hayden go back to his birth mom?
No, we knew that was a lie. He was not telling the truth.
Investigators know what did not happen, but figuring out what did happen, that's been far more difficult, because Hayden was missing for years before police ever learned of his disappearance.
To say that has complicated this case is an understatement. To get the call in 2024 that you've not seen a child since 2020 is a huge hurdle.
And that's not the only challenge for detectives. In November, Muncie police arrested Hayden's dad on more drug charges after they found Dustin with heroin and meth. He spent a few weeks in jail before posting bond. 4 days later, Dustin Manis died from a drug overdose.
That's right. His dad, Dustin, he's dead. He is dead. So he can't help anymore. It is a major additional complication since Dustin was the last one to have custody of his son, Hayden. Where is Hayden? It's, again, the question is, it just lingers.
Just because Dustin Manis is dead does not mean the investigation is dead. We're still going forward.
13 Investigates has learned detectives have searched this Muncie house and removed potential evidence from inside. It's the last place Hayden was known to be living with his father and his dad's former girlfriend. Detectives interviewed that former girlfriend and some of her family members before they moved out of state a few weeks ago. No one has been able to lead police to Hayden, and no one has been charged in his disappearance.
How can something like this even happen? How can a little boy just disappear and no one knows where he is or what happened to him? How is something like this possible?
There's very few ways that it's possible. An adult can disappear. Kids aren't like that. Kids don't have passports. Kids can't travel. Kids Hayden's age just don't go somewhere. A child can only go missing in very few ways, none of which are voluntary.
You suspect something terrible has happened?
Yes.
Do you think Hayden's alive?
No, I don't. I don't think he's with us anymore.
No, I don't believe he's alive.
I do not know. Not after talking to the police, I don't.
The family says since the investigation began, they've heard stories that Hayden was badly abused and neglected inside this house before he went missing.
I just hope it isn't true, what he went through.
Things you've heard are incredibly disturbing.
Disgusting. Horrifying.
The investigation is ongoing, so at this point, detectives and the prosecutor are not releasing specific details.
What we've heard has been shared with police is pretty horrible details and information.
I would agree. It's haunting. It's definitely haunting, some of the facts in this case.
Do you have any reason to believe that Hayden is still alive?
Based on the evidence that I've seen and the interviews that have been conducted, I do not have a reason to believe that. There are very few days I come to this office and I don't think of Hayden Manis. So this case is on my mind and it's on the investigator's mind on a daily basis. We're not going to stop until we get to an answer. We need to know the truth.
Yeah. I unfortunately, the likeliness that this sweet boy, who should be 9, the likeliness that he's still alive is minimal. And I'm telling you, the parallels to Harmony Montgomery, as soon as I read about Hayden and started looking into this, I immediately thought of Harmony. And I thought of Adam, her sperm donor. I have to wonder if Dad Dustin did something on purpose, accidentally, or maybe sold him for rugs. I unfortunately, there is a few, ways that this could have ended for this poor, defenseless child. But let me go back over what seems to be known so far. In 2016, both of Hayden's parents, these are his bio mom and bio dad, Dustin, lost custody of him after rug tests revealed they had been using cocaine. So they lost custody because they were doing the rugs, and at that time, Indiana Department of Child Services, which is DCS, they stepped in and they placed the then 1-year-old Hayden with his grandfather, Gary Manis, who we just saw with the piece from from Channel 13 there. And it sounds like they had a very great relationship. Gary states that Hayden affectionately called him Pawpaw, and he became his guardian, and Hayden seemed to thrive living with his grandpa, his Pawpaw. Unfortunately, just over a year and a half later, dad, or sperm donor, Dustin Manis, completed the necessary court-appointed probation, rug treatment, and counseling, and then the court granted him custody again of Hayden, despite his history of substance abuse. Why are these courts, these judges, allowing these substance abuse parents, these violent offenders, why are they allowing them to have complete custody of their children? Why? It's never ending well. It just never ends well. And that's why I think that they need to look into the judge and anyone else who had a hand in giving Hayden back to Dustin, his bio dad. For sure. So Gary, his grandpa, Papa, was never given a formal opportunity to present his concerns in court that his son was not a fit parent for Hayden. His pleas to retain custody, they went unheard. They just shrugged it off. Again, this is something we're hearing way too often in these family custody situations with these kids. It's got to stop. And as we stated before, the last known sighting of Hayden was at a Christmas gathering at his great-grandmother's home in Muncie. That's the family's known time, and then there was a sighting in 2020 of little Hayden. The very first time law enforcement was notified that there may have been a problem was on September 5th of 2024, per the prosecutor's office. This was when Hayden's family members, they contacted police requesting that welfare check. DCPO found Dustin Manis, but not his son Hayden. Dustin gave law enforcement false information on the location of his son. As we just discussed, he said that they came and got him, the Child Protective Services, and gave custody back to his mama, which is not true, like the DA stated, easily proven or disproven. Manis's father, Dustin, was the primary person of interest in that investigation into where his son was that began on that September 5th, once that phone call came in. However, it was on December 15th of last year that he died of a drug overdose. So that is where, again, that it makes this case even more complicated. They can't talk to him because he is dead. They've spoken with his last known girlfriend and others, but the only one who had legal custody of him is gone. He is dead. No longer walks the earth. Very difficult to get anywhere and find out what really happened. I'm hoping they're able to do some kind of tracking. I don't know if they can get a hold of his phone records, look for old videos. The sad thing is, again, he has not been seen since Christmas of 2019 by family, and then spotted again in early 2020. As much as I don't want to get upset. I don't want to get this family upset, because you could tell they genuinely love Hayden. They are very loving to their grandson, their nephew. Why didn't they call sooner? I just don't understand why they waited until last September to call. I just don't know. All right, and if anyone has any tips or information, because this is very, very, very important. There are people out there that know something. And this little boy deserves justice. This family deserves the closure. And obviously, law enforcement and the district attorney's office there, they are working to find Hayden. If you have any tips, please contact the Delaware County Sheriff's Department, and their phone number is 765-747-7885. You can also call the Sheriff's Office Investigative Unit directly at 765-747-7881. And if you want to remain anonymous for whatever reason, you can always call Crime Stoppers of Central Indiana at 317-262-TIPS or 8477. Again, that number is 317-262-8477. This little boy deserves to be found, and if he's no longer here, he deserves to be laid to rest the right way. And if someone else hurt him, whether it's his sperm donor or someone else, he deserves justice. So I'm really, really hoping that the right person or persons will call in tips, because this is horrific. It's truly, truly horrific. And Hayden deserves so much more. He really, truly did. And at this point, all we can do, law enforcement, everyone can do, is to continue to spread the word and hope that somehow Hayden can be brought home, wherever home might be, I guess with his grandfather, and he can get complete closure, that whole family. Yeah. Alright guys, I'm going to continue to cover Hayden's case here. There's a lot that needs to be brought to light, and this was just what I've learned so far, and I'm really thankful that WTHR covered this, because that's where I heard about Hayden. And I will continue to cover him on this channel, because again, look at that sweet face. How can you not love that sweet face? Alright guys, I hope you have a great rest of the day, and most of all, stay safe.